Chosen one. Yes, you, the one who felt something in the room settle a second before the words arrived to explain it. Before we start, do a few small things for me. Sit down if you are not already sitting. If there is a door within reach, close it. Turn your phone over and set it face down on the table, glass against the wood, so nothing can reach in and pull at you while we talk. Let your jaw come loose. You have been holding it without knowing, and breathe out, the whole way out. Not the shallow breath you take in a waiting room. The long one, the one that empties the chest, and then let the next breath come and find you on its own. Good. That is the chosen one I am talking to. Now stay close, because something got out this season that was never meant to travel. A committee that once turned you down just watched you fund your own way up, and they had no idea it was you until it was already finished. Now we can begin. For a long time, they talked about you as a closed file. That is the exact word. Closed. Reviewed, scored, declined, stamped with a date, and slid into a drawer. They looked at your application and read a person who did not quite fit the shape of the form. They looked at the one box you failed to check and decided that box was the whole of you. They looked at the fact that you never appealed, never wrote back, never begged for a second reading, and concluded, with real confidence, that the no had landed clean and the matter was settled forever. They built their whole picture of you on that one afternoon. A number in a spreadsheet, a name in the declined column. The entire story of who you were, decided by people who spent 90 seconds on your paperwork and then went to lunch and forgot your name before the coffee arrived. This season, that picture broke. It did not break loudly. That is what I need you to understand. It broke sideways. Maybe your name surfaced somewhere they never expected to see it, on a program, on a plaque, on a form, sitting in the line reserved for the one who gives rather than the one who asks. Maybe someone at a table described what you had built, and a person who once signed your rejection went very still. Maybe a letter went out under your name, offering another person the exact thing you were denied. But somewhere, a room that had been sure of itself for years stopped being sure. Not because you raised your voice, you never raised it. The certainty drained out because someone finally set two facts down beside each other that were never supposed to touch. The person they declined and the person now doing the granting, and understood in one cold breath that those were the same person. That you did not vanish when they closed the file. You walked out the side of the building and started cutting. Here is what they are only now beginning to work through, chosen one. The gate they guarded was never the only way through the wall. They spent their careers believing they held the entrance, and therefore held the power to decide who got in. And you, without a word, without a fight, without one appeal, walked to a blank stretch of that same wall and made a door of your own. And then you did the thing that finished them. You held it open for the next person in line behind you. Imagine this: a shoreline town and a man who decides to build a wall against the sea. He carries one stone a day, just one. His neighbors watch him for a week and lose interest, because one stone is nothing. One stone is almost funny to look at. A year goes by and they have stopped noticing him entirely. Then a storm comes, the kind that lifts roofs off houses. And in the morning, half the street is under gray water and one single house stands dry. His. Nobody watched the wall go up because it went up the only way real walls ever do, too slowly to be worth watching. That is precisely what they missed about you. They were watching for a dramatic return, a triumphant reappearance, a moment. You were laying one stone. And chosen one, before we go one step further, let me set a few things down where you can see them clearly. No, you did not fail that day. No, the box you missed was never a verdict on your worth. No, the years since were not a punishment handed out for not fitting their paperwork. What felt like rejection was redirection. What felt like a door slammed in your face was a door being lifted off the table entirely so that you would stop trying to squeeze yourself through theirs and start building one that answered only to you. If that is landing where I think it is landing, do one small thing. Tap the like and subscribe. Not for me. This message travels farther when it moves. And somewhere out there tonight is a person holding a rejection letter, reading it for the 10th time, absolutely certain it is the end of the road. Pass this to them. That is the whole mission. Now let me tell you what has actually been happening in the years you thought you were only getting by. You were not surviving those years. You were assembling. Every ordinary paycheck you set aside instead of spending. Every no you told yourself so that a yes could exist later. Every skill you sharpened at night in a room where nobody was clapping. You thought you were treading water, staying in one place, going nowhere. You were pouring a foundation in the dark. So here is the name for the thing they just discovered. The door you built. Not the gate they kept. Not the grand entrance with their names engraved on the brass. A plain door, cut by hand into the wall beside it. In hours nobody was watching, hinged to nothing they own or control. They have found the door you built, chosen one. And a door like that cannot be unbuilt. They can resent it. They cannot close it. Their keys were cut for a different lock, in a different wall, a long time ago. Look around your own life for this. Not the big version, the small rooms. There is an office somewhere right now where the most capable person in the building got passed over for the role, on paper, for a reason that sounded procedural. Not enough tenure, the wrong certification, a window that closed a week too early. And that person stopped asking. They did not fight the memo. They went home and quietly built the one skill the whole building would eventually depend on their own time with no audience. And a year later, the same people who declined them are routing every hard problem to their desk and calling it a favor. Nobody announced a reversal. The floor simply tilted and the water ran a new way. There is a family somewhere where one person got labeled early, the one who would never manage money, the one who took the long way around everything, the one you did not lend to. And that person said nothing. They just started keeping a jar that nobody knew about. And one ordinary holiday, without a speech, without a single "I told you so," they quietly covered something the family could not. A tuition, a surgery, a debt that got discussed in low voices. The old label did not survive the envelope, but the person who was labeled never once brought it up. They let the deed sit on the table and do all the talking. There is an institution somewhere, a fund, a board, a program, a committee that turned someone away for not fitting the profile. And years later, that same someone is sitting on the other side of that table, reading the applications, holding the pen. Not out of revenge. They simply built until the seat was theirs to take. And the ones who declined them do not know whether to raise the old letter or pray it stays buried. It always surfaces. Not from the one who was declined. That one has better things to do than remind anyone of anything. It surfaces on its own, the way the truth surfaces in its own time, from its own direction. So here is the law underneath all of it, chosen one. A gate only holds power for as long as it is the only way in. Build a second way through the wall, and the gate becomes decoration. The keeper keeps standing there. He keeps his posture and his ring of keys. But he is guarding an entrance that no longer decides anything at all. Say it to yourself twice. A gate rules by scarcity. The instant there are two ways through the wall, the keeper's whole authority thins out into theater. He can still say his yes. He can still say his no. It simply stops mattering which one he chooses. Now, before we go any further, this is the part where the room thins out. Some of you came here out of plain curiosity. You saw the words, felt a small tug, and clicked. There is no judgment in that at all. But right about now, the merely curious start to drift off toward the next thing, the next voice, the next promise, the next few minutes of noise. Let them go. This was never built to hold everyone. The ones it was made for are doing the exact opposite. You got quieter. Something in your chest went still, the way it goes still when a stranger says the one private thing you only ever said to yourself. If that is you, chosen one, do one thing. Go down to the comments and drop the number 999. Just that. Not for luck, not because it is trending. Drop it as a signal, plain and simple, that you are locked in and you intend to hear this all the way to the end. Consider it a hand raised in a quiet room. I will see it. The others will see it too. And they will know they are not the only ones sitting alone with this tonight. And while you are down there, the like and the subscribe are what keep this reaching the people who need to find it. Here is what comes next. Not more comfort. 12 pieces laid out in order, plain and exact, showing you how the ground actually moved, the room where the no was handed down, the years they never watched, the door you cut in their wall, and the moment the news of it reached them from a direction they never once thought to check. 12 pieces, one at a time. Number 1, the room where they said no. The cold in that decision was never personal, and that is the exact thing that made it so cold. You have replayed that room. I know you have. You went back into it 100 times and searched it for the sentence you got wrong, the answer that sank you, the moment you should have said something else. And you found nothing, because there was nothing to find. The decision that closed your file did not come from anything you said. It came from a line in a rule book that someone read aloud without looking up. That is the part that stings worse than cruelty, chosen one. Cruelty at least means they saw you. What you got instead was procedure. Does not meet criteria. Incomplete per section 4. Regrettably at this time. Language built specifically so that no single human being ever has to hold the weight of a number. They spread the decision across a form so thin that nobody in the room had to feel it land. Imagine this, a wide desk, a stack of folders, and a hand that reaches for a stamp without the eyes ever leaving the clock. Declined. Slide it into the outbox. Reach for the next one. The person who owns that hand is not evil. He is not thinking about you. He will not remember your name by dinner. He is simply moving folders, and your entire year was one of them, and it was easier to reject a form than to look at a person, so they made you a form. Here is the line they can't say out loud. It was never about whether you were enough. It was about whether it was your turn to be seen, and they decided it was cheaper to say no. So understand what that room actually was. It was not a scale that weighed your worth and found it light. It was a door with a quota, and the quota was full before your name came up. You did not lose a fair contest. You were filed. No, you did not fail in that room, chosen one. You were processed by people who never once looked at you long enough to fail you honestly. Number 2. What they thought your silence meant. You never appealed, and they read the quiet as agreement. They braced for noise. That is what the declined usually bring. The angry email, the second submission, the phone call demanding a name, the plea for one more look, one exception, one small human mercy. They have a whole procedure for the noise. They know how to make it go quiet and go away. You gave them none of it. You read the letter once, and then you went dark. No reply, no appeal, no scene. And to people who only understand pressure, silence can mean exactly one thing: acceptance. They filed your quiet the same way they filed the rest of you. Case closed, matter concluded, no further action required. They could not have been more wrong about what that silence was. Imagine this. A letter comes back to a sorting room marked "No forwarding address." The clerk does not wonder where the person went. He does not imagine them building a life 3 towns over, thriving, unreachable on purpose. He stamps it, files it under undeliverable, and moves on. And in his mind, that person has simply ceased to exist. But the person is not gone. The person changed the locks and stopped answering the door that only ever brought bad news. That was you. You did not disappear. You stopped forwarding your address to people who only wrote to say no. Here is the line they can't say out loud. They mistook your silence for surrender, when your silence was the sound of you saving the breath for building. Because here is what your quiet actually was, chosen one. It was a decision. You looked at the machinery of appeal, the begging, the reapplying, the reshaping of yourself to fit their form, and you understood, all at once, that the whole game was rigged to keep you asking. So you stopped asking. Not in defeat, in refusal. You took the one thing they could never take back, which is your attention, and you spent it somewhere else. No, you did not give up that day. You went dark on purpose, and dark is where things get built. Number 3, the scramble in the dark. What they pictured as your defeat was the loudest year of your life, and they simply could not hear it. There was a stretch right after the no. You remember it. It was not dignified. It was the second job you did not tell people about. It was the math you did at the kitchen table at 2 in the morning, moving the same small numbers around, trying to make them stretch one more week. It was pride swallowed in specific rooms, a favor asked that cost you something to ask, a plan drawn on the back of an envelope because that was the paper you had. They pictured none of this. If they thought about you at all, they pictured you crushed, sitting somewhere, staring at their letter, absorbing the verdict. What they could not imagine was motion. Ugly, unglamorous, relentless motion. Imagine this. Under the floorboards of an ordinary-looking house, a person is filling a jar, coin by coin. Some nights 1 coin, some nights none. From the street, the house looks like every other house on the block. Quiet windows, nothing happening. Nobody walking past would ever guess that below the boards, in the dark, something is slowly getting heavy enough to change a life. Because a scramble makes no sound the neighbors can hear. It only sounds loud from the inside. Here is the line they can't say out loud. Nobody photographs the scramble, so they assumed there was nothing there to photograph. And chosen one, that is the mercy hidden inside that terrible year. Nobody was watching. There was no audience to perform for, no committee to impress, no form to fit. Which meant every ounce of effort went into the thing itself instead of into how the thing looked. You are not building a presentation, you are building a foundation. And a foundation you pour with nobody watching is the only kind that holds when the watching finally starts. No, you did not waste that year. You spent it on the one thing they could never grade. Number 4, the boring years. What compounds in the dark looks like absolutely nothing, right up until it looks like a wall. The scramble ends and something almost worse begins. The long, dull middle. The years where nothing dramatic happens at all. You just keep going. You keep the standard when no one checks it. You set the money aside when spending it would feel so much better. You add one small skill, one small relationship, one small piece to the structure, and none of it feels like progress. Because progress that slow does not feel like anything. This is the part they would have mocked if they had bothered to look. A little at a time is easy to laugh at. Any single month of it is unimpressive. Any single year of it could be dismissed in a sentence. The only way it becomes formidable is the one way they never accounted for. You have to add the years together, and they never did. Imagine this, a small dam across a narrow valley, and behind it, a reservoir filling one rainfall at a time. For years, it looks like a puddle behind a wall. Farmers pass it and see nothing worth discussing. There is no day you could point to and say, today it became powerful. It just kept taking the rain that everyone else let run off and disappear. And then, one season, it is deep enough and heavy enough to turn a wheel that lights a whole town. The water was never dramatic. It was only patient, and patience at scale looks exactly like power. Here is the line they can't say out loud. They would have laughed at any single year of it, which is precisely why they never thought to add the years up. Understand what this means about you, chosen one. Your advantage was never a burst. It was never a moment of genius they could have spotted and blocked. Your advantage was accumulation, and accumulation is invisible to people who only respect the spike. They are built to notice the flash. They have no instrument that detects the slow. No, the slow way was never the wrong way. It was the one way they had no defense against. Number 5, the door you built. You stopped trying to fit through their gate, and you cut an opening of your own in a wall they were certain they owned. This is the center of it, so slow down with me here. For years, you treated their wall the way everyone treats it, as total, as the boundary of the whole world, the gate in the middle of it, with the keepers and the forms and the quota, felt like the only possible way from where you were to where you were going. So you did what everyone does. You lined up. You made yourself smaller to fit the opening. You accepted that your future ran through their yes. And then, Somewhere in the boring years, a thought arrived that changed everything. What if the wall is not the world? What if it is just a wall? What if I walk down to a blank stretch of it where no keeper stands and I make my own way through? So you did. You built a door. Maybe it was a business. Maybe it was a fund of your own, small at first, that grants the exact thing you were once denied. Maybe it was a path you cut that other people can now follow. Whatever its shape, it had one feature their gate never had. It was hinged to nothing they control. Imagine this: a walled estate with one famous front gate and a long line of people waiting at it, each one hoping to be admitted. Around the side, on a stretch of wall where nobody bothers to stand guard, a person quietly cuts a plain door. No brass, no ceremony. They fit the hinges, they open it, they step through, and then, instead of pulling it shut behind them, they wedge it open, and they wave the next person in the line over. The keepers at the front gate do not even notice at first. They are still busy admitting and declining, running their quota, certain they control the only way in. They control nothing anymore. They just have not looked to their left yet. Here is the line they can't say out loud. A door you do not control is a door you cannot close. And that was the one thing they never built a plan for. That is why the discovery emptied the certainty out of the room, chosen one. It was not that you succeeded. People succeed. It was that you succeeded through an opening they cannot revoke, cannot audit, cannot decline. You did not pass their test. You made their test optional. No, you did not need their gate. Some part of you always knew you were never going to get it, and some deeper part knew you were never going to need it. Number 6. The day their yes stopped mattering. There is a specific moment when approval becomes optional, and you crossed it without any ceremony at all. You waited a long time for their yes. Let us be honest about that. In the early years, some part of you was still building toward the day they would reconsider, the day the letter would come, reversing the old one, the day they would finally see. That hope is not weakness. It is just how a person raised to ask for things is wired. And then, on some ordinary day you cannot even name now, that hope quietly went out. Not in bitterness, in freedom. You woke up and realized you were no longer arranging your life around a yes from that table. Their approval had become a thing you could take or leave, like weather in a city you no longer live in. Imagine this: a toll road and a booth where a keeper has collected from every traveler for as long as anyone can remember. He never worries about his position because there is only one road, and everyone must pass him to get anywhere. Then, upstream, out of his sight, someone builds a bridge, quietly, over the gap everyone said could not be crossed. And one morning the keeper looks up and the road is empty. Not because anyone fought him, not because anyone argued about the toll. The traffic simply found another way. And now he stands at his booth collecting from no one, guarding a road that goes nowhere anybody needs to go. Here is the line they can't say out loud. The keeper's worst day is not losing an argument. It is the morning the traffic stops arguing and simply routes around him. So notice what actually finished them, chosen one. It was not your triumph. It was your indifference. The person they knew how to handle was the one who still wanted something from them. The moment you stopped wanting it, they lost the only leverage they ever had over you. which was your own hope that they might one day say yes. No, you did not have to defeat them. You only had to outlast the part of you that needed their permission. Number 7. The power they thought was theirs. Their authority was never the gate itself. It was the scarcity around it, and you ended the scarcity. Here is a thing gatekeepers never say, and mostly never even let themselves think. Their power does not come from what they know, or what they built, or what they are worth. It comes from one arrangement, and one arrangement only. There is a thing people need, and they are standing in front of the only known door to it. That is the entire source, not merit, position, which means their power was always more fragile than yours, chosen one, though neither of you knew it at the time. Yours was built on accumulation, on the slow, real thing under the floorboards. Theirs was built on a bottleneck, and a bottleneck only holds value for as long as it is the only bottle. Imagine this, a dry town with a single well, and the family that owns the land the well sits on. For generations, they are the most powerful family in the county, and everyone assumes it is because they are wise or strong or chosen. It is none of those things. It is the well. Then a quiet person on the edge of town starts digging in their own yard at night for months and hits water. They do not announce it. They do not challenge the powerful family. They just have water now, and so does anyone they choose to share it with. The old family still owns their well. They own it completely. It has simply stopped being power because power was never the well. It was the thirst, and the thirst just found a second answer. Here is the line they can't say out loud. They confused owning the well with owning the water, and the day you dug your own, they found out which one they actually held. That is why the collapse feels so total to them, even though nothing was taken. Nobody stole their gate. Nobody drained their well. They still have every credential and every key they ever had. What they lost was the scarcity, and the scarcity was the whole thing. Their authority did not shrink. It got exposed as something that was never really there. No, their no was never the last word on you. It was just the loudest word available in a room they controlled, and you left the room. Number 8. How they found out. Not from you. The news reached them sideways, arriving in someone else's voice, from a direction they never thought to guard. You did not call them. Understand how important that is. There was no letter from you, no triumphant message, no invitation to come and see what you had done with the life they declined. You did not tell them because somewhere along the way you lost the need to. The person who has to announce their victory is still, in some small way, asking for approval. You had stopped asking years earlier. So the news traveled on its own, the way news does. Your name on a program someone was reading, a form with your signature and the line that says grantor, a sentence at a table. Did you hear who is funding that now? Spoken by a person who had no idea it would land on someone who once signed your rejection. Imagine this. A photograph passed hand to hand around a long table at a dinner. It moves casually, one guest to the next, nobody thinking much of it. And then it reaches one particular person, and that person looks down and sees a face they know, a name they filed away years ago under declined, standing in a photograph beside the exact thing they said this person would never have. The photograph does not accuse anyone. It does not say a word. It just arrives in the middle of an ordinary dinner from a direction they were not watching, and the evening quietly changes shape for one person at that table. Here is the line they can't say out loud. You did not deliver the news because you had outgrown the need to. The news delivered itself, and that is so much worse for them. Because a message from you they could have dismissed, chosen one. They could have called it bitterness, called it a lap of honor, filed it under sore winner, and felt superior. But you sent nothing. The truth reached them clean on its own legs, carried by neutral hands, and there was no way to make it about your ego, because you were not even in the room when it arrived. No, you did not owe them the announcement. Your silence at the beginning and your silence at the end were the same silence, and both of them cost them everything. Number 9. The file reopened at midnight. They are not angry with you tonight. They are alone with your old application, hunting for the line where they went wrong. Something shifts in a person when they learn they misjudged badly. It is not rage. Rage would be easier, and it would burn out by morning. What settles on them instead is something slower and heavier. They go back. They pull the archived folder, and they read their own decision again, looking for the error. Imagine this. A committee member, long after everyone else has gone home, sitting under a single desk lamp with your old application open in front of them. They read the line they signed. Declined, does not meet criteria. And they read it again. And here is the thing that will not let them sleep. By the rules, the decision was correct. Every box was followed. Every procedure was honored. There is no misconduct to find, no bribe, no bias they can point to and correct. The rule was applied perfectly, and it produced the biggest miss of their career. So they read the line a fourth time and a fifth, searching for a flaw that would let them off the hook. And the flaw is not there, because the flaw was never in the addition. It was in believing the form could measure the person. Here is the line they can't say out loud. The rule was followed exactly, which is the one defense that gives them no comfort at all. That is where they live now, chosen one. Not in guilt exactly, in a kind of vertigo. Because if the rules were right and the outcome was this wrong, then the whole instrument they trusted, the form, the criteria, the quota, the 90-second review, is not a scale at all. It is a blindfold with a stamp on it. And once a person suspects that about their own judgment, they cannot unsuspect it. Every future decision now carries a small, cold question underneath. Who am I missing this time? Who is out there right now, filed and forgotten, quietly cutting a door? No, you do not have to build a case against them. The file makes it for you, and it makes it in their own handwriting, on a night when they cannot look away. Number 10. They have no claim on it. They cannot take the credit, cannot warn anyone, and cannot get a single handle on a thing they never touched. Watch what they reach for once the shock settles, because it tells you everything. First, instinctively, some part of them reaches for a way to be connected to your success, to have seen it coming, to have believed in you privately. And that door is shut permanently in their own filing cabinet. They wrote declined. There is a record. They cannot claim they nurtured a thing they are on paper as having rejected. Then they reach for a way to warn someone, to frame it, to get ahead of the story. Warn them about what exactly? That a person they turned away went and built something good and is now helping others. Say that sentence out loud in a room of practical people, and you are not the warning. You are the fool in the story. So that door is shut too. Imagine this, a garden, grown thick and green and full, on a strip of land at the edge of a property the powerful always assumed was theirs. They never planted it. They would have stopped it if they had noticed it in time, but it grew while they were looking at the front of the estate, and now it is established, rooted, feeding people. They cannot uproot it without everyone asking why they would destroy a garden. They cannot claim they planted it because everyone knows they did not. They cannot even complain about it without revealing that they would have preferred bare dirt. So they say nothing, and the garden goes on feeding people who never once needed the estate's permission to eat. Here is the line they can't say out loud. You cannot hold a claim over a person who never took anything from you, and you took nothing. That is the trap they built for themselves, chosen one, without any help from you. Every other person who got past them owed them something. An admission, a debt, a mentorship, a favor, a handle. You owe them nothing at all. You did not use their door. You did not take their money. You did not accept their yes. And a person who owes you nothing is a person you have no grip on. They gave up their grip the day they wrote declined, and they have only just noticed their hands are empty. No, you did not need cover from them. You left them without any, and you did it by refusing to take a single thing they offered. Number 11. Set down the applicant. The chair turned around while you were working, and the pen is in your hand now. There is a posture you have carried so long you have forgotten it is a posture. The posture of the applicant, the one who waits at the edge of a room to learn whether the room will have them, the one who softens their voice before knowing if it needs softening, the one who reads a face for permission before finishing a sentence. You learned it at that table years ago, and you have been wearing it into rooms that stopped requiring it a long time ago. It is time to set it down, because it describes a person who no longer exists. Imagine this, a person who spent years in a waiting room, on the hard chairs, watching the door, rehearsing what they would say if they were finally called in. And one day, they are not called in. They are walked around the desk and seated on the other side of it, and handed the pen, the same pen that once decided their fate. And for a while they keep glancing at the hard chairs out of old habit, half expecting to be sent back. But they are not going back. The chair turned around. The person who used to fill in the form now signs the bottom of it. The one who asked permission is now the one who grants it. Here is the line they can't say out loud. You cannot audition for a room you now hold the keys to. So hear this carefully, chosen one, because it changes how you walk starting today. You do not enter a room asking anymore. You do not scan for approval before you speak. You do not shrink yourself to fit the smallest available chair. And notice, this is not arrogance. Arrogance is loud because it is unsure, because it is still underneath an applicant shouting to be believed. What you carry now is quieter than that. It is the ease of a person who already holds what the room is deciding about. You do not need their verdict because you became the thing that issues verdicts. And here is where the protection was hiding all along. not in a rescue that never came. In this, a thing you build with your own hands, hinged to nothing they control, cannot be revoked by anyone. That is a security no committee ever offered you, and none of them could take back. Their yes always came with the power to later say no. What you built came with neither. No, you did not arrive late, chosen one. You arrived as the one who decides, which is a thing no applicant ever gets to be, no matter how early they show up. Number 12. The gate was never the wall. The shape is set now. You fund the next ones through the door you cut, and there is nothing left for anyone to grant you. Something has hardened, and it did not harden around you. It hardened under you and out ahead of you on the road you are already walking. This is the part they will misread the longest, because they believe that being discovered changes things. They believe that once the arrangement is seen, it can be argued with, appealed, undone. But what you built did not require secrecy to hold. It only required secrecy to be built. Now that it is built, the daylight does not weaken it. The daylight just lets more people find the door. Imagine this: a fence that everyone in the county believes rings an entire estate. It looks complete from the road. It has a grand gate and keepers and a line of people who assume there is no way onto that land except through them. But the fence was never finished. Walk along it, past the manicured front, past where the visitors ever bother to go, and the fence simply stops in the open grass. Just ends. On the far side is open country, unwalled, unclaimed, stretching out past where the mapmakers ran out of ink. The wall was a facade all along. It enclosed the front and called itself the boundary of the world. And anyone patient enough to walk to the end of it discovers there was never a wall there to climb. There was only a place where the wall gave up. Here is the line they can't say out loud. You do not have to be admitted to a place that was never fully walled in the first place. So understand what you actually are now, chosen one. You are not the one who got in. You are the one who proved there was another way, and then held it open. The door you cut is a door for others. Every person who was ever told they did not fit the form can now walk to a stretch of wall you already opened. You did not just fund your own way up. You turned your own way up into a road. And roads carry more than one traveler. They will keep testing the surface of what you built, the way people always test a thing they cannot believe is real. Let them. Every knock confirms it holds. Every doubt thrown at it is a stick dragged across stone, loud, and leaving nothing behind. No, you were not locked out. You walked around the end of a fence that only looked complete from the front, and you left a gap in it wide enough for the next one. So, we come to the end of it. They know now, chosen one. Somewhere, in a room that lost its certainty, the last piece dropped into place, and every strange thing, the name on the program, the signature in the grantor line, the photograph passed around the table, lined up into a single row and explained itself. Let them sit with it. Their knowing does not slow one thing already moving. It never had that kind of power. It could decline a form. It could never touch a road. That silence in the room is not an ending. It is the sound of a table realizing it was never the center of anything. The scarcity broke first, quietly, before anyone at that table understood their whole authority was leaning on it. Come back to the door you built, one last time. You imagined, in the early years, that you needed their gate. You lined up at it. You made yourself small for it. And then you learned the oldest thing there is to learn about walls, which is that a wall is only a wall where someone bothered to build it, and the world is so much wider than the part they enclosed. You did not break their gate. You made it beside the point. Imagine this one final time. A bridge laid stone by stone across a gap that everyone swore could not be crossed, built in the years they spent arguing over the toll on the old road. Nobody watched it go up, because a bridge, like a wall, like a life, goes up too slowly to be worth watching. And now the light comes up over the valley, and the bridge is simply there, finished, load-bearing, open, while back at the toll booth they are still counting a traffic that already found another way across. No, you are not late, chosen one. No, you did not waste the years at the edge of their table. The years were the building. Every dull season was another stone in the bridge, another coin in the jar, another inch of the door. Here is the line they can't say out loud. The rejection was the redirection, and the redirection was the whole gift. So walk through the door you made. Do not go back to their gate to ask if you may pass. Do not turn around to read a face for permission. Permission was never theirs to grant or to withhold. You proved that the day you built a way through that answered only to you. That is the thing that emptied the certainty out of the room. Not that you won, that you stopped needing them to let you. And here is how the light works out ahead of you now, chosen one. It is not their light. It is not borrowed from any table. It is the plain daylight on the far side of a wall that was never finished. And it falls on open country, and it falls just as warmly on the next person you wave through the door as it falls on you. You do not need the whole road tonight. You need the next stretch of it, and the door behind you standing open for the one still holding a rejection letter in the dark, reading it for the 10th time, not yet knowing the wall runs out. They are still at the table, chosen one, running the file at midnight, hunting for the line where they went wrong. You are already through the door, on the far grass, in the unwalled country, holding it open. Go stand in the open, chosen one. The wall ran out a long time ago, and the far side was always yours. If this one landed for you, leave a like so it reaches the next person who was told they did not fit, and subscribe so the door stays open behind you. The wall runs out. Walk to the end of it.